Hey, what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it.
This game, would you agree with this statement? Certainly in any loss, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be stuff that, you want back. You wish you had done differently. But I got to say, I thought the quality of this game was actually pretty high. I thought both teams played sharp. And at the end of the day, maybe the most disappointing part is I don't know that I felt like LSU lost this game. I more felt like USC won it. Like for all the talk of we're going to run the ball and, we're going to be physically dominant. I think USC out-physicaled you. I mean, how many times did you see a ball carrier get popped backwards? Not just stopped, but like hit backwards. And then how many times did you see on the opposite side of the ball? You really didn't too much. Now again, I think it was sharply played on both sides. I think both fan bases, honestly, should be pretty ecstatic with the defensive coordinator upgrades. But that was maybe the most shocking part to me was here was a USC team that I thought you would be physically dominant over, and yet they were over you.
Yeah, so in the run game, and again, going back and hopefully that tape will be uploaded so we can watch it on the way back and certainly have some of that breakdown for tomorrow. They were adding an extra defender on all of LSU's runs because they had, in their mind, no threat of Garrett Nussmeier pulling the football and him having a quarterback run. And
that backside defender.
The backside defender didn't even look at Garrett Nussmeier, and that's something a year ago that obviously you just didn't have. You didn't have that last year because you were terrified that Jaden Daniels was going to run the football. When LSU went empty, which was one of their favorite formations, USC was basically playing like 2 3s and 2 9s, it felt like, out there with no linebacker in the middle. Again, just saying you're not running quarterback draw. Okay, we're going to put everybody into coverage. And so that those things were different. And, yeah, at the point, USC was physical. There's no question about it. And LSU came in, and even in the third quarter, when you're like, okay, I understand wanting to establish the run, but now you're in the third quarter. It hasn't popped just yet. You did have one big hit from John Emery there. That series from John Emery was fantastic.
It was a great series. It felt like that was like, oh, okay, you've
leaned on, because that's why you run counter and stuff like that. Because 4 yards, 5 yards, and then all of a sudden, man, you've leaned on them, you've worn on them so much. Here comes a 50-something yarder, but it never really popped. And again, if we go back and we watch that tape, like on the short yardage, which you hurry up, you're in gun. We'll certainly cover that play, in more depth. But the edge defender did not worry about anything but just crashing as hard as he possibly could.
Well, and it's crazy that then you would continue to leave him. I mean, whatever the play calls for him to be unblocked, but to continue to run it and not make him respect a pull or give him anything else to distract was disappointing. And then I keep going back to that 3rd and 1, right? Because this is a weird game because you look at the box scores and it would appear that, there's a lot of yardage put up, but not a lot of scoring, right? I think the defense I thought LSU's defense actually played pretty well despite the fact that Miller Moss ends up with 378 through the air, right? I thought it was improved in a lot of ways. And I was talking about the box score in the same way. It's it's like LSU outrushed USC, sure, right?
Yeah.
But what happened when you had to have it? What happened when game was on the line, 3rd and 1, and you needed the first down? You couldn't get it, and maybe that's the most disappointing part because the O-line is supposed to be your strength. The more traditional running attack versus Jaden Daniels was supposed to be able to carry the load. And in the end, that conversation we were having about, okay, the defense should be better, but we know the offense will be a little worse. Like, which change would outweigh the other? And unfortunately, the lack of threat from the offense at the end of the day ended up costing you this game. You just couldn't put it away.
So on that 3rd and 1, I believe it was Pimpton that got beat right across his face.
Right after he had a 14-yard catch.
Yeah, right after he had a big catch. And again, probably not expecting that kind of a hard crash, but that was really something they should have because USC continued to do it all night long. And gosh, and I know why you try to hurry up in a 3rd and 1 situation. You're trying to get on the ball and trying to catch them. But, I mean, literally every defender for USC was in the box at that point. It was such a big moment in the game. And if you are the team that we thought you were physically, you don't worry about having to rush up to the line so fast. You can still line up and run your play. I mean, look, everybody runs short yardage out of gun, which I hate. But, I mean, you had some success out of pistol. It's just – the whole process of that play, how quickly you try to get it done, the play itself, the blocking scheme itself, that's just one of those points I'm talking about, those 5 or 6 points in the game that when you go back and watch, you're going to feel like that was a game-changing moment that cost you the game.
It's a game that, again, a great game in many ways by both teams. Well played, punches landed back and forth, like – LSU comes out early. They drive all the way down the field. They're looking so sharp, but then they get stopped in the goal line. A major punch landed from USC. USC then goes, they score 7-0. You're like, ooh, man, LSU's got to respond. What do? They go down. Incredible touchdown throw and catch to Kyron Lacey, 7-7. Game on. It's just, it's crazy to me, Jake, and I got to watch the film to figure out exactly how this happened, but it is crazy to me how you lost. You seemed like you were in such a rhythm at the beginning of that game offensively when it came to moving the ball and just getting first downs, even if you weren't scoring necessarily. And something changed where at the end of the game when you needed those same first downs to salt that thing away, you didn't have it. You could not find the big offensive play that you needed in order to and Brian Kelly talked about this. We'll play the press conference next. Brian Kelly had about as honest and kind of emotional of a press conference as I've ever heard. We're gonna play the whole thing in full and then react to it. But they lacked that killer instinct. They couldn't step on their throat.
Yeah, we'll get to the breakdown of the plays, but I think it's important to kind of break down the totality of all the things surrounding some of the plays as well. Like I think it was the last 3rd down where you got the illegal procedure. You have the play clock running. You have 3 timeouts, all of them.
Yep.
You have the play clock running down. You knew that it wasn't right. Nussmeier tries to stop Lacey from going in motion. He stops and he keeps going. Nuss realizes there's 2 seconds left on the play clock. He turns around. He almost held his hands to call a timeout. Then he's like, "No, let me snap it." And you snap it. That's the biggest play in the game. It's the play that's probably going to win or lose you the game, right? And you got a play clock winding down. You have all 3 of your timeouts. You've done a nice job. USC blew their timeouts. You've got all 3 of yours. Like that's a little moment. Like, hey, you wanted to call timeout. Take a breath, get a better ball play ready to go because you got 2 guys in motion. It's not on the same page right now. Again, another moment in this game that just everything surrounding the play, and then the play itself obviously was not your best ball play. So
yeah, I mean, Mark says right here, 10 penalties, 99 yards. I think USC had about 5 or 6, about half that. That's one of the ingredients in the pot of how you lose a big game like this.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.